back to Willard and Dibs.
I mean, Mark, it's so good to hear y'all's voices. And Mr. Dibs, I mean, it's just been way too damn long. So it puts a smile on my face.
On 95.7 The Game.
There it is, a quick preview, FP, of Nick Friedell as he's about to join us here in moments. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to Willard and Dibs in the free Audacy app or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. And while you're there, make sure to check out Dave Fleming's conversation on the Morning Roast from earlier today. And on the line right now is Audacy NBA insider Nick Friedell. Insider calls are brought to you by the all-new Hyundai 2024 Santa Fe, equipped for adventure. My man, Nick Friedell, good to talk to you again. Say hello to my partner, FP Santangelo, Nick.
Mr. Dibs, FP, it's great to be with y'all. I wish the finals had a little more juice and momentum, but it is what it is. But it's great to have the conversation always.
And the conversation, Nick, is about that very thing, the au jus. Where's the juice? Not where's the beef, Nick, but where's the juice with these NBA finals?
Well, it's all sitting at home. That's the real problem. The NBA was hopeful that this series would provide a look into at least two guys in Luka and Tatum who are on that path towards becoming the next guy or the next face or one of the players that the league can lean on. And the issue, and Mr. Dibs, you and I have been talking about this for years, is that I don't see that next guy on the horizon that everybody's going to rally around, at least in the short term. We could talk about Steph and LeBron all day long and how much they've carried the torch and how much it's going to be an issue for the NBA whenever they do finally retire. But the reality in the moment is Tatum's a hell of a player. Jaylen Brown's a hell of a player. Certainly there are people who are really into watching Kyrie, but Luka was supposed to be that next guy. And what we've seen, at least in this series, is that he just doesn't feel like he's ready for the moment right now. And I think after last night and the criticism he got, not only on the broadcast from Doris, but my old friend Windhorst is crushing him on SportsCenter, and you're hearing it more and more. It's another reminder how tough that mantle is for younger players and how difficult it is for young guys to go from, all right, he's the next star, to, on the biggest of stages, leading their teams all the way through and winning a title.
So you think he needs to fail to realize that? Because you think of the young stars in the past. I mean, Jordan didn't succeed right away. Kobe didn't succeed right away. LeBron, I don't think, succeeded right away. So is that just a learning process? So everybody rips him because he doesn't know how to do it yet?
FP, I think absolutely the losing is part of it, and you just outlined all the guys who have gone through the process of finding their way finally to the top. I think what people are criticizing him for, on top of the constant bitching and moaning, which he can control, is on the biggest stage, in the moment where Dallas has to have him playing at his best, he's not playing any defense at all. And that, more than anything else, I mean, you can complain and get all upset and still win, and people can go, it's part of his charm. When you lose and you're complaining, and then on top of that, you're not playing defense, well, yeah, that's going to draw a ton of criticism. And this criticism is different and deeper, and it's going to sting a little bit more because it seems to be coming from all directions after everybody for the last few years has only said, hey, Luka's the next big thing. He's the man. He's great. When you lose and you're not giving the type of effort that people are expecting from you, that's when you draw a lot of people's ire, and I think he'll learn from that and be better for it moving forward. But there's no doubt right now that's what's creating all the last 24 hours worth of the cycle of, what's wrong with Luka? and what happened to all the promise that he came into the series with.
Yeah, the negative publicity, I think, stemming more from the behavior than it is from the actual losing. Nick Friedell here on 95.7 The Game. When you look at Dallas now struggling in the NBA Finals, and Boston didn't get it done with this core in their first visit, you think about the Warriors in their first championship. Do you put even a little bit more respect on that first title, the fact that it was their first visit to the NBA Finals?
Absolutely. I mean, you have to, when you get to the mountaintop after your first swing, and it's not that they hadn't gone through their own set of failures before that, but when you get there and you win, yeah, that counts for a little something extra. And I tell you, even more than that, I think that's what gave that group that jolt of confidence that they needed moving forward. Because once you get there and you win, no matter what happens over the course of a season or what kind of ups and downs that you go through during a run, once you know you've done it, you know you can do it again. And I know, listening to Draymond all those years, that was one of the things that always stuck with him. When you play at the level that group did together, and you have Steph Curry, well, guess what? Good things can happen. Then you add Kevin Durant, then anything's really possible. But absolutely, for that team and the maturation that they had to go through, winning that first one the way they did the first time, I think it was crucial.
Nick, I think you already outlined it, so forgive me for asking this question, but how does the NBA capture the casual fan? Because I know baseball has been doing a lot to try to capture the casual fan. And I guess I would say at this point in my life, full disclosure, I'm that. Back in the day, I was Showtime Lakers, Bird, Jordan, Isaiah. I mean, I couldn't get enough of it. Basketball is my favorite sport. And just over the years, I've kind of faded. And once the Warriors are out, I don't have a lot of interest. So what should the NBA do to capture dorks like me and get my interest?
FP, I think it's the single biggest issue that the league is facing moving forward. And I have said over and over, I think they're going to have a real problem when LeBron and Steph finally go, because so many people have become so invested day to day in watching and following along with those two guys. But more to the point of your question is the NBA has a real issue with its regular season. People in the marketplace of that team, they're always going to care. The Warriors diehards, they are always going to be locked into what's happening with their team. The difference I see in the way in which the NBA has kind of developed in these last 5-10 years is it doesn't feel as national as it used to. And in that regard, I think it does look a lot like baseball or hockey. There's always going to be fans of that team, but how many people are tuning into Jazz Pistons in the middle of February? And that's the real issue I see moving forward. So I think the answer is the NBA doesn't have an answer to that question right now. They're going to continue to try and develop different things, try and continue to push different players in a variety of different directions. I mean, one of the things we saw certainly this past year was the in-season tournament. That is a direct reflection of the NBA going, people aren't into our product the same way day to day as they might have been in the past. They're going to continue to come up with different ideas. I just don't think they have a really strong one right now. And I think we've seen the dip in the way people are following the regular season more so than I can ever remember it growing up, certainly.
Insider Calls brought to you by the all-new Hyundai 2024 Santa Fe, equipped for adventure with capable features like available H-Track all-wheel drive and standard third-row seating. Nick Friedell, our Audacy NBA insider, joining Willard and Dibs here on 95.7 The Game. So it kind of begs the question, Nick, about these last-ditch dynasty, quote-unquote, teams. Can the Warriors rise up one more time? Does LeBron have a chance with a revamped Laker team, or are we heading into a lull, much like we saw post-Jordan and pre-LeBron?
I mean, where's Tim Duncan when you need him?
Right.
I mean, that to me, that's what's coming here, because I flatly don't think the Lakers are anywhere close. I mean, whoever takes that coaching job, good luck to you. I hope you get paid a ton of money because that team doesn't have the talent to do it. I mean, they're just not good enough. With the Warriors, I flatly don't think they can win a title again. I think they can be very good. Steph is still playing at an incredibly high level. But when you won at the level that franchise has won at for so long, when you finally drop off, people don't care as much if you get to the second round or you get to the Western Conference Finals. It doesn't feel the same. So I think there is a lull. And I think we're starting to see it already because look at the ratings. I mean, the ratings tell you what you need to know as far as an FP. This goes back to your question and your point that the casual fans they're not checked in the same way they might have been in the past. Now, Dibs, I would always say there's always somebody. There's somebody that we're not thinking about or we're not seeing, and they will come up and they will garner attention, and people will be into following their games. I mean, who would have ever guessed that it was Steph? And not only did it become Steph, but he ran with it for years and years and years. But the NBA doesn't have that guy right now. I know there was hype around Ian Edwards in Minnesota, and then they got just demolished in the last round. A lot of people think it could be Luka. It'll be interesting to see if an international player can carry that type of gravitas night by night by night. Now we'll see, but right now I think the NBA not only is in for a lull, but I think they know it and they're trying to fix it on the fly, which is going to be interesting to watch in the next couple of years.
Yeah, and trying to fix it in unique ways, like you said, the in-season tournament. But I'm looking at the lull here when you had, times where it was the Spurs in the finals and ratings were low, and then you had Boston and the Lakers and ratings came up a little bit. But after the Michael Jordan, all the way up until LeBron James, it was definitely a big-time lull in interest and the NBA ratings. Nick, before we let you go, I want to ask you about free agency, the Klay Thompson question, and also whether or not you think the Warriors have a big swing that they can make between now and the middle of July.
As far as Klay goes, Mr. Dibs, I think it's 50-50 at this point.
Wow.
I'm not sure which direction it's going to go. I have always thought in terms of Klay's future with the organization, it's going to depend on just how tight that relationship is with Klay and Joe Lacob. Joe Lacob has said repeatedly, Klay's my guy. I want Klay and Steph to retire here. He's got to be the one to me to make it happen. Not only financially, but everybody's got an ego on some level, and they've got to go to Klay and say, hey, this is what it's going to be if you stay here moving forward. Does Klay want that? I mean, how much of it is money? How much of it is pride? How much of it is he wants to still be the guy on this team and one of the main faces, and his game and his body just haven't allowed that after all the injuries. So I flatly think it's 50-50 there. Over the next month or so, we're going to find out just what matters the most to him. And as far as a big swing goes, feels like Bradley Beal 2.0 and the conversation around him for those last few years as the Warriors were trying to figure out who it could be and what is the piece that comes in and helps Steph and Draymond one more time to make one more run. The reality, Mr. Dibs, is I look at the free agent market and I look at possible trades. I don't see that guy out there. I don't even see that possibility of somebody that you're going to give up the assets for that's going to make that much of a difference. I know Jimmy Butler's name has popped up in the conversation of rumors, and would the Warriors give him the money and the contract he wants? I think it is a fit on paper, but having covered Jimmy long enough, one, I'm not exactly sure how he fits into that locker room as the alpha personality that he is. And two, I don't know if after all the wear and tear on his knees, especially over the last few years, if you're the Warriors, if you want to give him that type of extension, that would scare the hell out of me, because I think if you could say, all right, well, Jimmy's going to be healthy and he's going to play in the postseason and he's going to pair with Steph, great. But nobody can say that because he's missed a lot of time over the last few seasons. So all that being said, the Warriors, I think, are going to look a lot like what we have seen the last couple of years with Steph as the guy and Draymond as the running mate. We'll see what happens with Klay, but I don't see a fix as far as a player the team could acquire who comes in and makes them go from where they are now to where we're used to seeing them at the top.
Good answer. I appreciate it, Cousin Nick. Thank you for joining us, and all the best to you. And let us know when you get back to town.
Done deal, my man. It's great to be with y'all, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Nick. I think
Love it.
Maybe in the second quarter you release Lions on the court, and then that gives the trainers halftime to mend the
Halftime
wounds.
adjustments.
So yeah, mend the wounds of the players, and then that way people will watch. And then in the fourth quarter, around the court,
Piranhas.
a moat with alligators in it. So if you go for like a loose ball out of bounds, you probably get eaten. Now people are going to watch.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
A lot less hustling for loose balls, that's
I'm
for sure.
not serious, but I'd watch.
That was Audacy NBA insider Nick Friedell. Insider Calls brought to you by the all-new Hyundai 2024 Santa Fe, equipped for adventure. He's got Klay at 50-50. That's a little bit higher than I would put